We had about 35 people register, so I'm sure we'll be seeing many people trickle in.
Analysis shows that it fell again last year in most other high-income countries. 2021 was a year where life expectancy began to rebound. There are also some striking racial disparities in this latest data. Detailed just had. Why are American?
Loris, are you going to be in your office tomorrow by any chance?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I'd like to talk to you for a couple minutes when you're here.
Oh, sure.
Someone needs advice from you, so I'm just whenever you've got time.
Oh. Well, I can talk endlessly. I don't know if they will take the advice or not.
We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah. Mhm.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Hector.
I don't know if you saw
I'm
my
late.
email, but I'm fine, Joanna, with what you want to do.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry to be late.
Not a problem. We're still waiting for some more folks to join us. Hi, Meg. Hi, Joella. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. How are you doing?
We're fine. Glad
Great.
to
I
have you
know it's
with us.
been a minute. Hello.
And Bill says hi. So while we're all waiting for others to join us, we were just having a little chat about maybe having our next meeting on September 28th in person. So Andrew says yes already. So just wondered what everyone else thinks. Hannah says yes.
It'll be refreshing.
Yeah.
Lynn said yes.
Okay.
But still at 4 o'clock, Joanna?
Yeah, I think 4 o'clock, but we'll have our usual half hour of just kind of saying hello to everybody.
Then I'm a
Meg
yes.
says yes.
Then I'm a yes.
Okay, good.
And I'm a yes.
All right.
And I'm going to go back because I've got a dog in the background that's being
Okay.
very barky.
Rhiannon and I are both emphatic yeses.
All right. All right.
Vaccine boosters. And here's Rob Stein reports. The vaccines are reformulated versions of Moderna and Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines targeted to protect against.
Joella's a yes. Hi, Elizabeth. Welcome. Good to have you with us. Wilford, good to have you.
Hi.
Linda says she'll go with whatever. So. Welcome, Morgana. Good to have you here. Matthew, hi. Rhiannon, good to see you. It's been a few weeks, I think, since I've seen you. Well, while I'm going to give it a couple more minutes. But I also wanted to let everybody know, for those of you who know our friend Rosara from Junior Players, you also would know that she's been very, very ill. And I just wanted to let everybody know that she is doing a lot better. Okay. And I believe she is in, she's out of the hospital and I think into a sort of a recovery center now. So, but I know she appreciates all of the good thoughts and prayers that have been sent for her. And if anyone wants to send a card, if you'll just send it to Junior Players, they will make sure she gets it. And anyone who needs that address, just email me and I'll get it to you. So, and I want to welcome Warren Tranqueta, who is the new CEO of AT&T Performing Arts Center. So we're really glad to have you with us. Thank you. Welcome to Dallas.
Thanks, Joanna. I appreciate the invitation and looking forward to getting to know everyone on this call.
Well, I know we have some more people joining us, but let's kind of jump in and get going because I know everyone's got other things to get to. So a quick organizational update. We've all just decided while we were waiting for everyone to get here that we're going to do our next meeting on September 28th in person here at the Salmon Center, and it'll be at 4 o'clock. We'll have refreshments. And as we always do, we'll spend the first 30 minutes, just kind of saying hello to everybody. And then we'll have, hopefully we'll have a chance to celebrate the budget being passed by then. And we're going to talk in a few minutes about the budget, but hopefully we'll have much to celebrate. So mark your calendars for that, September 28th, 4 o'clock in-person meeting. And we will hopefully be celebrating a very good budget outcome. And so I think why don't we just jump into town hall meeting reports. I want to thank those of you who did get out to town hall meetings. Thankfully, there's a lot more virtual meetings and some teletown halls as well. But I know also we had a number of people attend in person. So I'd like people to just kind of report back on what they heard at those meetings, if arts were brought up, if there was a response from the council member. And I'll start real quickly with a couple of reports from, one report from someone who's not with us yet today. I'm not sure she's going to be able to make it, but Diana Pollock was at Carolyn King Arnold's meeting. And she said there were no other people talking about the arts, but also no one else talking about parks and libraries either. But Carolyn actually brought it up. Councilwoman Arnold brought it up herself and was basically very favorable. So that's great to hear that. So and then I know, Aaron, I know you went to a couple of town halls and maybe you want to report on what you learned at those or what you heard.
Yeah, so I was only able to attend one down here in District 1 with Chad West, and Morgana and Rhiannon were also at that meeting. But when it was brought up, Chad seemed very favorable about it, and he said, we want to keep supporting the arts. And actually, when Morgana asked later in the meeting about it, he said, I didn't even necessarily bring it up because it's an assumption that we are going to want to fund the arts. So he seemed very favorable in support of funding us again.
Great, always love to hear that. Loris, I know you attended a couple of town halls.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I went to the Teletown Hall. Yeah, Teletown Hall with number 2 and 14. So it was Jesse Moreno and somebody else. I can't remember. It's not unrecord that. I'm supposed to remember. That's my own district council member. But anyway, I was there and I brought up the interest in the arts and they said thank you. And then I was in person. I went to an in-person one at the library and was Moreno alone, just Moreno. And I spoke about the arts. I was wearing my button and he said, I thanked him and them for supporting the arts. And I complained about DART, and the DART people are supposed to contact me. But who else was there? Lori Sundin Soderberg, and she was there and she spoke of the arts favorably as well. So we had visibility and voices in person. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Who else has been to some town halls? Hector, I think you went to, did you go to the one at the library as well?
Joanna, I had to miss the one at the library because I had a last minute dinner thing I had to do. However, I did go to the budget town hall workshop that they had, and I stayed to the bitter end thinking nobody was going to mention the arts amongst the council people. But honestly, at 11:56, 4 minutes before they broke for lunch, Omar asked the question about the HOT and whether it was still on target to be tiered up the way it was supposed to go. And he was assured that it was. by Benji Espino, and really there was no discussion about it. So sometimes it's better to fly under the radar than to make a big ruckus. So, all good, and I wore my pin.
Okay, good. Who else has a report from a town hall?
I went to one with Omar and Jesse. It was over at Bachman Lake. And we had just had the flooding, so there was actually a lot of conversation about that. But I spoke up for the arts. Liz Cedillo Pereira was kind of the city manager host, which was good. Because Omar in particular really jumped in and talked about the arts, and Jesse and their support of it. And it was good because she is now kind of replaced Joey Zapata. And so Office of Arts and Culture now falls under her. So it was good. And, they were very supportive. And, one of the things I told them was that I appreciated, I said good cities are those who can balance the needs of police and fire and, public safety. And on the other hand, also look at quality of life things like parks and libraries and the arts. And so I think they appreciated it, because if you've looked at that proposed budget, the arts didn't just stay stable, we grew both in the general fund, but also through the hotel occupancy tax. The percentage went up, but also because hotel business has been bouncing back, that went up too. So, I just thanked them and then reminded them to keep the arts in the bond project. And Joanna, there was one meeting, and I had that somebody didn't like the arts. Do you want to talk about that?
I think that was a virtual meeting with Paul Ridley and Jesse Moreno. And I don't think that the person was against the arts so much as had concerns about the costs of the deferred maintenance on the buildings, and that the city wasn't doing enough to take care of the buildings, and shouldn't they just privatize all the buildings like they do the zoo, and apparently didn't know that most of the buildings are privatized. So I followed up with both council members to say, everyone knows about the deferred maintenance, and the person probably didn't know how many of the facilities are privatized. And that, yes, we are, all of us who have these buildings are spending a lot of money on this, but it's the hole is so big that it's going to take the city and private philanthropy to address all of it. So they agreed with that. At that particular meeting, there were a lot of arts supporters. There were probably at least 5 or 6, and so the arts came up 4 or 5 times. So it was a good meeting. I suspect it's because so many of the arts facilities are in Paul Ridley's district. And I think the virtual meeting format is really good. I think it could be probably tightened up a little bit. The teletown hall stuff, I don't think that works very well. So those of you that hung in on those, thank you for doing that. That's a very awkward sort of way to have a meeting. I think they're like everyone else, they're figuring out how to bridge this new world we live in. And then I went to a teletown hall. It was Omar Narvaez's town hall. The arts came up a couple times, and he of course was very, very positive about it. So that was always good to hear. So does anyone else have a report out from a town hall? Okay, and then Hector, thank you for the report on the budget workshop. The news is good on that front. So I think that's a good segue into the next thing. So Hannah, if you would bring up that 1-page budget piece. Oh, yep. Yeah, that's it. So the good news, there is an increase in the OAC budget planned for 2022, 2023. And then of course they do a biennial budget now. So they are also forecasting a smaller increase for the following year. But the good news is that we're getting an increase, and they're showing here the general fund total along with the hot total as proposed. So it's a total of a little over $28 million. So that is a nice increase. If you look at last year's budget, that's just under $4 million more than what we got in the last budget. So that is a huge increase. And so I would just like to point out that the reason that we have been getting these increases is because of all of you. It's because of the advocacy. It's because we show up at the town halls and we ask the questions, and we show up at City Hall with our buttons on and they see us. So I want to thank everybody that did show up for that budget workshop. I was there. We had a good number of arts people there. There were no library people there. There were no Parks and Rec people there. It was just arts people, and that was about it. And so even Kara Mendelson was said some nice things about the arts at one point, even though she wasn't quite sure why the arts would be on the bond program. So we have some work to do there. But all in all, I think we can be very hopeful that this budget will pass as it's been recommended. So far, we have heard of no proposed cuts. And some of the money will go to restaff some of the openings at City Hall or at OAC, but a lot of it's going actually into the COP and the Arts Activate program. So that's great. That means more money out in the community for arts groups and arts events. So, and if you look here, and I can send this out to all of you after the meeting so you can look at it in more detail. But you can see some of the details listed out at the bottom of how they're using the funds. So good news all around. And does anyone have any questions at this point or comments on the budget?
I think, the one thing we have to keep an eye on, and I've again, given everyone's advocacy and the council support that we've heard, I don't think this will happen, but always keep in mind there's the budget amendment process where they can go in and move money around or propose it, and they've got to get their council members to buy on to that. And I don't think that'll happen. But I think one thing we all just have to remember, as soon as this is passed and Joanna will send something out, we have to make sure that we get everybody, and our board members, our supporters, people need to email the council and the city manager, and we need to say thank you. And we absolutely have to say that.
Absolutely.
And it makes a difference. As Joanna said, there were a bunch of us at that budget meeting, and it's like playing to your crowd. The minute they kind of out of the corner of their eye, they know you're out there, they will start talking about the arts, and they did, and so we need to make sure that we go back to them and say thank you.
Any other comments or questions about the budget as proposed?
I didn't hear the fluoride people down in City Hall, so.
Well, there was one
I'm sorry.
at library. There was one person at the library. She spoke extensively about it, but the person in charge of that particular department said he would meet with her and talk about it.
Good. Yeah. Well, that's kind of a surprise that there hasn't been more of them at the meeting, especially with the virtual option, but
This one.
yeah. And there's always some angst at the town halls about trash pickup and code enforcement and, that kind of thing. But all in all, the ones that I went to and the report backs, the arts for once we're getting pretty favorable treatment. So that's great news. And again, that's thanks to all of you. So and then there's another thing coming up. There's always another thing coming up in the arts. There is the Breimer election happening. I think is that this fall, Chris, or is that next
November? It's on
November.
election, same on the same ballot.
Yeah. And this is the the opportunity to sell bonds separately from the primary bond program to support building a new convention center, but really big for all of us, I think, is the money that will go into fixing Fair Park. So Chris, if you have more information to share on that, just some details, I think it would be good for everybody to know about that.
Yeah, it is going on the November ballot. I think that is November 8th. And as Joanna said, it will, what this will do, it's kind of like if you remember the American Airlines Center. And that was about 20 years ago, 23 or 24 years ago, but they had the election and it was to increase the hotel occupancy tax to pay to build American Airlines Center. And the idea being that it's a tourist tax, and the tourists are the ones who end up coming and they stay in the hotels and they end up paying for that. So there is, under the law, you can do that to build the convention center. And if you've been in our convention center, you know, it's a mishmash of, you know, stuff built over the years. So the idea is to build that, but thanks to Royce West and Rafael and Chia and some of our state lawmakers, they did a special carve out that will end up directing about $200 to $300 million over to the restoration at Fair Park. So it's great from that standpoint in that it's, you know, restoring cultural venues, all of that, but it also kind of makes sure they're not taking up bond money or, you know, other resources to do that. So they get some dedicated funds. So that's great, but also keep in mind, if our convention center business takes off, the hotel occupancy tax going to the arts also continues to rise. So it is a good thing all the way around. There was some polling that was done on it that showed very, very favorable. People, you know, generally liking it really well. And those numbers actually got better after you explained it more to them. And those numbers went up. So I think we're in good shape on that. Our big challenge is that people may just not show up to the polls. Okay. And the other challenge is it's literally the last item on the ballot. So somehow we've got to make sure they go past all the judges and all the, you know, JPs and everything else and get to the bottom and make sure they vote for it. And so this is something, though, is really going to have a very positive impact on the city, but really on our arts community with that hotel occupancy tax and the great work out at Fair Park. So that's kind of it. And we'll be reminding you more about that as it gets closer, but that's kind of where we sit with it right now. Let me know if you have any questions.
Anyone have a question or comment about the primer election?
Chris, is the money for Fair Park all capital?
Yeah,
Or is
it has to be directed the way that this was. You've got to, it has to go to specific things. So there are 6 venues or 6 groupings that it will go to. One's the Cotton Bowl. One is Music Hall. One is the bandstand, which I think is really, you know, I've seen the pictures of it. It's very cool what they want to do with that. And one is the Coliseum, which kind of sits in the back there. They have the Black Rodeo there, and they like to make sure that's a good entertainment venue. And then a couple of the exhibition buildings at where they do a ton of business, and you know, they're just kind of falling apart. But those are very active during the state fair, and they could be more active if they were in better shape year round. So it'll be those 6 venues, and that's where that money goes.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Thank you.
We're
Any
pushing
other-
hard to make sure that Music Hall gets its fair share, and not everything goes to the Cotton Bowl, by the way. So we're trying to keep an eye on that.
Does anyone else have a question about the Breimer election before we move on? Okay. Well, I noticed that Ann Graham has joined us from Texans for the Arts, and she's going to give us an update on things happening at the state level and the initiatives that TFA is working on right now. So I'm going to turn it over to Ann.
Great. Thank you so much. You all were breaking up on my computer. I hope it's not my computer that hopefully this will all go through, but thanks for the warm welcome as always. And I applaud all of you for your ongoing engagement and your advocacy work as a team. It's just so impressive. You are our poster children. This won't be too long. The first thing I wanted to report on at the statewide level is that the budget process has begun for the 88th session. And on Monday, the very first hearing was held for the Texas, actually, the very first hearing was held entirely for the budget. And it was for the Texas Commission on the Arts. That is the LBB, the Legislative Budget Board, working through the LAR, which is the Legislative Appropriation Request. So this is the point where the LBB, the staff is mulling over all of the numbers, building the budgets, and they have these hearings. This particular hearing was about exceptional items. So Gary Gibbs, the executive director of the Texas Commission on the Arts, will be told what his base budget is. But what we do have the power to grow that is something called exceptional items. And the TCA has proposed 3 exceptional items, which we support, and actually we want more. But his conservative request are for 3 things. One is to expand by $5 million the cultural district appropriation, which has been the last year was of course at 10 million. This would be to add $5 more million to that 10 million for a $15 million appropriation over the biennium. The other is a $3 million appropriation for an exceptional item, which would grow their Arts Respond and Arts Create programs. So their base programming grants that they do that are not cultural district programs. That is a $3 million request. Again, over 2 years, you're talking $5 million for cultural districts, $3 million for organizational and Arts Respond funding, for a total of $8 million or 4 each year. We have all the good cases and all the good data to show how impactful these dollars are, especially the cultural district funding, and a very strong case to be made. There was testimony by Fiona Bond, the head of Creative Waco, who's the president of our Texans for the Arts Board, and then Heidi Marquez Smith with the Texas Cultural Trust also presented. I did not present. I'm coming off of COVID. So I was not there on Monday morning. I'm here today. But I am optimistic. I will say that the Texans for the Arts Advocacy Committee, which is chaired by Chris Heinbaugh, made a strong statement that we felt that request for the exceptional items is modest. This is supposedly going to be a banner year for the Texas economy. Oil and gas sales are way up, even travel tourism and the hotel tax is up. And other taxes are up. So despite the fact that we are supporting the TCA's exceptional items, we've made it really clear to Gary that we're going to be supporting for more than just that $8 million over the 2 years. So
this has been 10 years.
Yes, it has been over 10.
Other than the cultural district, 10 years since it was increased. So
since
we're overdue.
Right. So, and all the stars should be aligned, but we will be, of course, having our own advocacy efforts. We'll be keeping you apprised. And on February 8th, 2023 will be our Arts Advocacy Day in person at the state capitol. Obviously, advocacy, as you know, is not just done one day a year, but that will be a key focus for us. We will also be looking at doing we will not do hybrid on the day, but we will be supporting some more regional and putting into place systems where people can stay in their own community and maybe not have to come all the way into Austin. So the LBB, LAR, all these acronyms about the state budget, that is underway, and we'll keep you posted as the various milestones happen. The other deadline tomorrow begins September 1st. It is the opportunity for the Texas Travel Industry Recovery Grant Program. The portal for NAICS 71 opens. I do hope there are many of you that are applying. I have not gone through the machinations of the application. I don't know if anybody has, if they have any feedback. It's supposed to be as simple as possible. The one key thing about NAICS is it's not a terrific way at all to measure and to keep track of the arts industry. It is definitely focused on performing arts, but it's really exclusive of so many other art forms. That said, I do hope that is there anybody who actually has gone through with that application that's on this call? anybody has. It's up to $20,000, and they are going to be granting out 34.
I don't think the period is opened yet.
It
No,
opens tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
It opens tomorrow, September 1st. It closes on September 22nd. There is a portion of it which is called first serve, first buy, first serve, first come, first serve. While the deadline is not till September, just from tomorrow until September 22nd. One of the ways they are measuring who they will get money is like who's first in line. So don't wait for September 22nd. It's not based literally, they go and assess all the applicants and make sure they meet the criteria. Once they've done that list, that is first come, first serve. Because they are not using any qualitative assessment or measurements. It's all going to be on based on the data that you provide on the application.
Hey, one thing that's really important on that too, they are kind of giving priority to groups that did not get a ton of federal money. So if your organization did not get PPPs, or even if you did and you didn't get SVOG money, you should apply, because they are really looking to help fill the gap that happened in there. And then they're not going to exclude you, but if your organization is not one who got a lot of federal funds, they'll look more favorably on your application. So if if it's your organization or you're, you know of one, you should really, really encourage them to apply early and get in there, because you're going to be well situated, to be considered for that.
Yeah, and again, as Chris said, even if you did get SVOG or you got PPP, that doesn't disqualify you. It may potentially reduce some of the amount, but if we don't ask, we put a lot of work into getting access to these dollars, and I really want to see the arts speak up, because we're trying to make a statement to the Governor's Office of Travel and Tourism that we're part of the economy here in a very measurable way. So I'll be really interested in, if anybody has any questions, I don't have the website right in front of me, but if you just Google TTIR, Texas Governor's Travel Industry Grant Recovery Program, you'll find the portal and the application, and all the details are there. Again, there's $34 million just for NAIC 71. They estimated about 8,500 organizations were eligible. So thank you, Hannah, for putting that in there. So that's really my nuts and bolts. The LBBLAR, the budget process is underway. We're speaking up in support of the exceptional items, and also making sure that we're going to be asking for more. The travel industry grant program opening up tomorrow through September 22nd. I will continue to reiterate and support the good work you are always doing on elections and voting and trying to get people out to vote. That's a huge part of the work that we do as well. And just on a nice Dallas note, today we made a decision. We have a brand new intern coming in who went to Booker T and dance. So we have a new intern coming on board. She doesn't even know yet, before she does. A really great candidate. We're excited to have her join us. And at some point I'll have her maybe next month join us at this meeting. So that's really it. Thank you for the platform, and y'all know where to find me. And thanks to all of you for your good work, and any questions, happy to answer.
Does anyone have a question for Ann?
Okay, you know where to find me.
Okay.
Thanks.
That's pretty much it for the agenda. I did want to remind everybody about the AFTA survey going on. We talked about it at the last meeting. Materials are posted on the DACAC website. And it's, really, really important. It runs through May, and we'd really love for each of you to have surveys being done at every single performance or event that you're having, or exhibit, whatever it happens to be. They are hoping, they really don't want more than about 50 reports from each event. But for some of us, 50 would be a lot, but for some 50 would not be a problem at all. So, I just want to remind everybody about that. And you can do those either a paper version, or there's a QR code version where people can do it on their phone. And information about that is on the website. There's a real good overview of it, as well as some sample forms. And so just try and remember, as your performances are starting up, maybe to designate some volunteers or some staff people to ask your patrons to please, 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 do the survey. It doesn't take long. It's short. It's about a 2-page thing, but it's vitally important to us and our advocacy efforts to be able to measure how impactful the arts are for the economy and how many people are employed in the arts. So I want to remind everybody to do that.
And if you can, number one, if you go to a show, take it yourself.
Yeah.
Don't forget to take it yourself. Okay. One of the things that we're doing, and I may see if we can kind of redesign it a little bit, but we're creating this, which is something we can hand out, and it's got the QR code on it, and it says what the study is. So as people come in, we can hand these out. So as they're sitting there waiting for the show to start or during intermission, they can actually take the survey. And we're going to do that English and then Spanish. But ours is for the Arts District, but I may see if our person can kind of change the design and the QR code for outside the Arts District. And then you guys can print them out and, hand them out. Because I think if you've got that, I think that's going to help get your stuff done, and it'll make it easy for them. And, and just remember, do them at every show. These numbers have been critical to advocating for the arts, for the hotel occupancy tax, everything. We use these numbers over and over and over again. And so, it's just really important that we all kind of get this. Bravo to the symphony. I know you guys have been doing a fantastic job, Debbie, getting those done. And we'll also make the printed versions available for people, the ones on paper. But I think this is going to be the easiest way to get these things done.
If we could get that from you, Chris, we'd be happy to have some printed, because that looks like a much easier way to do those.
Yeah, I'll get them. I'll get them.
That'd be great if you could share either that version or a more generic version.
I'll do it. We'll get it done.
Okay.
There's a different code for outside the Arts District, and then there's the different codes for BIPOC organizations too. So I'll just get them all done, and you guys pick the one you want to use.
Okay, that'd be great. If you can get them to me, then we'll post them on the website where everybody can grab them as soon as we have it. And that's kind of a good segue. We have a handout that we use when we're talking to council members and others in the community about the importance of the arts. And we've tried to update it. And again, when I send out the budget information, I'll send this out to you as well. So this is a redrafted version, and we're always welcome to have comments and suggestions on how we can improve it. But as you can see, it's pretty comprehensive, covering a lot of the ways that the arts are important. But one of the things we tout in this is our economic impact. And Hannah, if you could go up to the next page, it's printed on 2 sides. If you'll see where it says the creative economy, we're referencing the last economic impact study, and that's from 2015. So that's really old info, but it's the latest info we have. So that's what this AFTA survey will do, is give us that information at our fingertips that we can then use when we're talking with any, whether that's state, local, federal, private donors, whatever. We can use this data. And we can also disseminate it in things like this. So I'll send this out to you so that you can, you'll have it, and love to have your feedback and comments and suggestions on how we can improve it, because it's the most important piece of leave behind information that we have for those kinds of meetings. So anyway, does anyone else have a question, comment, or anything else we need to discuss? If not, go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, I noticed on the thing I just saw on the computer that it's blue now, the arts voter button. Is it blue? Or does it just appear on the
No,
card?
we had, when we created that flyer,
Uh-huh.
Our graphics department created that arts voter button, and they made a couple versions. So the one we printed on the buttons is the white one, but that was an extra one. So it just graphically.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
If we can find some more money, we'll make more buttons of those.
Yeah, right.
We do have a council election coming up next year. And
Mhm.
towards the end of this year, we will start again, sitting down with all the council members
And the
and walking them
candidates.
through all the stuff on this.
Oh, that'll be interesting. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, I just want to remind you, our next meeting on September 28th will be in person at 4 o'clock here at the Salmon Center. So woohoo, get to see.
That'll be
everybody in
fun.
person. Yeah, so mark your calendars. We just really want to get everybody back together, and hopefully we'll be celebrating that the budget passed as presented. And that'll be wonderful for all of us.
Joanne,
Yes.
it's me, Tino.
Hi, Tino.
Hey, could I just ask that we be very mindful of inviting members who haven't had the opportunity to meet with City Council, to meet with the folks who are running for elected office, so that we can start to train the next group. I just really am gonna want to focus on that this year or next. Just we need new blood. We need to get more people, more fresh faces out there. Not that you're not fresh, dear. You're very fresh. But you know what I mean.
You know, Joanna's going to be here forever. So just know that.
Right? We're gonna have a virtual.
Buzz Debbie.
Whatever. Exactly. But I think we should. You guys start thinking about it. If you've never met with elected officials, if you've never met with council members, please let Joanne know that you are interested. Let her know what district you're in, and let's get some new folks going.
It's a great suggestion, Tino. Thank you. Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, are we at announcements moments here? Is that what's going
Yeah,
on?
we can take
Cool.
announcements. Go ahead.
I just want to remind everybody that Big D Reads, yeah. Big D Reads starts tomorrow. It's covering the accommodation. There is a huge slew of activities that are happening throughout the month, conversations, performances, all kinds of stuff. The Writers Garret is actually hosting our first public event on the 15th here at the Bishop Arts Theater Center building. Our new offices are upstairs, but we're hosting a panel and reception that evening. But actually, I'll look it up real quick and put the list of events in the chat. But please make sure that you come out to at least one of these. If you haven't read the book, read the book. They're giving them away for free. If you sign up for the event with the Writers Garret, we will be distributing free copies as well. So please engage this program, because the literary community is having a moment right now, and the more people we can get involved now, the better our argument is as we go forward, saying like Dallas is a literary city and we need everybody involved. Thank you.
Could I give a quick shout out? We have a Aida Cuevas concert the 9th, 10th, and 11th, and the Mexican consulate will be here on the 11th. We're so glad that he'll be in Dallas for another year, and he will be on stage on the 11th to talk for a few minutes before the concert. We are giving a 25% discount on tickets, so we'd just like to get the word out on that. If you can spread the word for us, we'd really appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, Debbie.
I'd like to just jump in. Elizabeth from Brucewood Dance. If you're in Fort Worth on the 17th of September, we're performing at the Scott Theater. It's going to be a great show. BrucewoodDance.org for tickets.
I'll jump in real quick. We have on September 17th, our first Latinidad, and it is a Hispanic Heritage Month thing, and we are doing this in collaboration with Anita Martinez, Ballet Folklorico, and it's from 5 to 10 out in Strauss Square. We so far have about 2,000 RSVPs, people coming, and it's a free festival, and we've got, I think, about 5 different Latin American groups, so very different styles of music that'll be performing throughout the day, and have different food out there and all sorts of things. So would encourage you to come out and enjoy. And also Thursday afternoons, we have our free patio sessions, PNC patio sessions concerts, and encourage you to come out and enjoy some of the food from our new concessionaire, G Texas. So come out and enjoy. And those are free as well. Just sit outside and then have a drink and enjoy. The drinks aren't free. But the concert-
But they will be free at the next DACAC meeting in person.
there you go. With potato chips.
Yes, and other things. Anyone else? I'll just put in a plug for Salmon's Jazz starts next Wednesday, our first concert of the fall season with Joey Carter on vibes in the first set and Cindy Horseman on jazz harp in the second set. So we still have tickets for that. So, and the drinks are free with that. So anyway, good to see everybody. Thank you all so much. Warren, welcome to Dallas. Very glad to have you. And hope to see you all on the 28th in person. So take care, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.